Good afternoon, everybody. How you guys doing? We're doing another upload today because Pete Carroll gave some updates. And we're getting close. We're getting close to the final preseason game. And then after that, we're just a couple of weeks away from the start of the regular season. So we are entering crunch time for determining who we're going to be playing, who we're going to be using, who's going to be available. And we've got a limited amount of time to figure out how these positional battles are going to shake out, which ones are even going to be battles, which ones are just going to be winner by default because X person is not available. And this is all compelling and interesting stuff, even though this season is not exactly the most hyped Seahawks fans have ever been. It's still interesting. So I want to talk about a few of the things that Carroll went over today in his press conference. And we're not going to bury the lead. We are going to start with the quarterback battle that I know people are really invested into right now. Because, hey, who your quarterback is kind of a big deal. So Carroll offered up some updates on Drew Lock. He did not commit to naming Drew Lock as the starter. But he did say that Drew Lock needs a lot of snaps versus Dallas on Friday, and he'll get that chance. So I think we all pretty much knew that. But the interesting thing here is that he describes the competition between Lock and Geno Smith as even. He was quoted as saying he views the QB battle right now as even, which is kind of a curious way to put it. It's certainly the correct way to put it in terms of what both guys have done and trying to be completely fair about things. It makes sense that you would want to describe it that way. But as we head into this final preseason game, I am still hearing Geno Smith is working almost full-time with the starters, and Drew Lock is working almost full-time with the backups. Now, maybe that has something to do with Lock just getting back from COVID. I'm not sure. But it doesn't feel even to me. It seems to me that Geno still has a leg up, or at least based off everything that I'm seeing about this team, he should. So Carroll says they're even. Now, if you take him at his word, the only way I can define why he would say that would be because he was not impressed with Geno against the Bears. Because Lock didn't even play in that game. Lock did nothing to advance his own cause. So once again, I wonder, was Pete really down on Geno after that Bears game to the point where he actually thinks that Lock now has a real chance here? Maybe. So that's kind of interesting. He also said this, and this is never a good feeling. Yeah. Okay, so when asked about Geno and Lock, he said both guys have been playing well. And then he said, this is kind of the kiss of death. We may have two number ones. There's a saying in the NFL, when you have two number one quarterbacks, you have zero number one quarterbacks. If you have two starters, you have zero starters. And I read this quote and I immediately think of that because that is a saying that has been around for a while now. And there's a reason why, right? If you had a true number one quarterback, a true really good starter, he would be making himself definitively the starter. If you have two guys that are going back and forth, even if you think both guys are playing pretty good, it doesn't leave you in the best spot. And it's also indicative of the fact that neither guy is grabbing onto the opportunity with both hands and not letting go. So, look, the COVID on Drew Lock was obviously a very frustrating setback. And that has put us in a bit of an awkward position because Geno, while I still don't think he played terrible against the Bears, did not do anything to assert himself as the definitive starter on this team. We're just in this weird situation right now where we can't feel great about either guy. And I read this quote and I just kind of can't help but like go, oh no. Because this is, I'm sorry, it's just not the kind of thing you want to hear. We may have two number ones. That means you have zero number ones. He also elaborated a little bit on the nature of the QB battle between the two guys. He said that originally they were going to decide on their new starting quarterback after the last preseason game. But Luck getting COVID means they have to push their decision point into September. So for those of you who may be excited for finding out who our quarterback is going to be after this Cowboys game, crank your excitement down a little bit. It may be a few more days. It may even be another week. So we may not find out who the starting QB is until a few days before our first game on September 12th. So don't be surprised if we continue to have to wonder about who our QB is even after this last game. Now, depending on what happens on Friday, we may know. We may be able to sit there and be like, okay, it's going to be this guy or it's going to be that guy. We just have to wait for them to announce it. Sorry. But I do think that giving extra time on the QB battle is probably a good idea. There's no reason why not to. So just something to keep in mind going forward. All right. There are a few more injury updates. Some of them good, some of them not so good. Artie Burns likely to get back this week along with John Reed. So we're getting some of our cornerback depth back. Artie Burns in particular is a big deal because he's likely to start because he's somebody who's been really good in camp and he's somebody who has experience in Sean Desai's defense from Chicago. John Reed is a guy who I thought played okay last year, not great, but he's a little bit miscast as an outside corner, which he was doing some of last year, I think. He's shown me that he belongs in the NFL, so that's exciting. Sidney Jones is not back quite yet, so doesn't sound like he's going to be in this Cowboys game, but I'm not too worried about him getting preseason reps. It sounds like there's a really good chance he will be back for the regular season, though, and that is good news. So that's pretty positive. I really like getting this defensive back depth back. Because I think we've kind of seen that even though you see positive things from Tariq Woolen and Kobe Bryant, you don't want to put too much on their plate at first. It's not fair on them. It's not fair on us. A few more injury updates. Ken Walker doing better every day, but we don't know when he's going to get back. And Carroll sounds less optimistic to me that he'll be back for week 1. So it seems to me that Ken Walker may not be somebody who's on the field against the Broncos. We do have an extra day, I guess, because it's a Monday game. But it doesn't sound to me like Walker's going to be back, which I don't have a problem with. Makes all the sense in the world to me. We also received confirmation that Trey Brown's going to start the season out. He may even start the season on the PUP. The PUP is now only 4 games long, I believe. So if he does start on the PUP, where he currently is, he's guaranteed to be out for the first 4 games at least. But that's fine. I'm not against it. I'm not surprised that he's not ready based off the nature of his injury last year. Beyond that, apparently Rashad Penny is unlikely to play against the Cowboys, but it's not an injury thing. It's just we don't need him. We do expect Metcalf to play a little bit more than he played against the Bears, so we will see a little bit of him, probably a little more Tyler Lockett. Marquise Goodwin not ready to go yet, which means he will have not played in a single preseason game, which makes it very interesting to me to try to figure out if he's going to actually make the team or not. He's clearly a valuable player in some aspect. In some area, he has value, but he hasn't been working with the team for a while. Eskridge is likely to play against the Cowboys, so very good news there. And Ryan Neal still working his way back. And those are your injury updates. And yeah, that's really all I got for this video. Some promising updates. Really excited to have Artie Burns back. Really excited for D. Eskridge to get back on the field. Hopefully he can play against the Cowboys. Hopefully he can play against the Broncos. Obviously, the Ken Walker thing people are walking on eggshells with, I understand. But at the end of the day, if he misses a game or two, or even a month, it's not a huge deal, I don't think. He probably wasn't going to play a ton at the start anyway. And look, this quarterback battle, we're getting some indications that Locke still has the door open. PFF says Geno Smith is our best player through 2 preseason games, but doesn't sound like Carroll's completely convinced yet. Question is, do you believe him? Do you believe him when he says that, or do you think he's just saying it to say it and that Geno's the guy? I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting. I just normally I would assume that Geno's his guy, but I can't get it out of my head after that Bears game when he was asked about Geno, or he was talking about Geno. He kind of gave him the old faint praise and kind of excused some of his lackluster numbers as on other players, but he didn't sound too enthusiastic about it. So I guess the door is open. What do you guys think? How do you guys interpret all this Pete Carroll stuff? Gonna plug it into a Rosetta Stone, see if this stuff translates into anything more concrete? Maybe? I don't know. I will see you guys on Twitch tonight. We're going to do Fire Emblem and Serious Sam 2. Serious Sam during the Mariners game. Fire Emblem probably before and definitely after. Hope to see you guys there. Go Hawks. And yeah, we're getting some pieces back. Encouraging for sure. See y'all later.